Hi, this is Sam, and today I'm showing you a game design document I created for the game Endangering Species, It's Shrimply Wrong. This is a game I created in a collaboration with other people at uni a couple of years ago. So yeah, it was a group project, and I served as the producer and lead designer. So the game design document was mostly done by me, as you can see, but there were some additions by James, who talked more about the programming side of things, as he was the lead programmer. So my role included doing the whole game design document, which I will show you in a minute, which talks about the whole game and all the concepts we're implementing and all the work done by everyone, as well as managing the project and like the scrum meetings and ensuring the project stays on track. So without further ado, I will go through the document. So in the contents, we can see the concepts. We talk about what the game is about, and the main selling points that make it kind of original or unique, and its story, etc. We go through development goals and tools, so how we're creating it and what the kind of milestones are, what we want from the end product essentially, as well as our target audience and platform, so we have a clear vision in our mind. We then deep dive into the gameplay mechanics, so trying to get as detailed as possible, so again it was clear for everyone kind of what was required, and makes it easy to show other people coming in what the game's about. Talk about the structure, the game flow, including things like player feedback, kind of what the feedback loop is to keep players engaged, controls, any AI, so the AI would be for like the animals that we have to fight and fend off. Then yeah, and if there's any physics, so the different sections of the level, since it's kind of a miniature island with different zones, the menus and UI, and then yeah, art style, audio, all the different assets we're going to be using. And then we kind of finish up with competitor analysis, so we can kind of see where our game fits into the market, followed by things like marketing, production timeline, all the more businessy side of things, followed by what the future may hold, legal stuff, and then just kind of concepts and storyboards. So I tried to make it, even though it's like a university project, not a commercial product. Obviously, I wanted to try and make it as realistic as possible. So that's why I kind of added in some of the more business sections. So the game, which there's another video which will show the game in action, where I explain what you do. But in a nutshell, it is a cutesy tower defense game, but with a dark undertone, because you're essentially on this island and you're kind of endangering the species that already live there, and they're not happy about you being there, so they're trying to drive you off the island essentially. So it's a tower defense game where during the day you find resources, and then at night time you have to protect this crystal, where there's a kind of a early concept model of it. So it's a third person. You take control from a third person point of view. It's slightly isometric. It's quite a far-reaching third person camera angle. Although the camera, unfortunately, we didn't get a moving one with the mouse like you'd normally get. It's kind of restricted to WASD movement with the A and D keys kind of moving the camera left and right, but there's no sort of up and down motion, which I feel like could have been improved. But it did its job. We took inspiration from these sort of games, especially like kind of Diablo sort of camera. kind of similar to that, so you could see, see as much as possible. Yeah, obviously the name's a bit of a pun, just to show that's kind of a light-hearted thing. So the main selling points, so the main parts of the game is the exploration and building the towers. So you collect resources during the day, as I said. As part of the exploration, you can find weapons as well to defend yourself with. And then you go back to the main base where the crystal is, and you can build towers and repair them. And then at night time, they obviously will defend the crystal. You can also buy friendly animals to help you as well. So survival, action survival, the character can also die. It's not just the crystal health you have to worry about, it's your character also could die. There you go, recruitment, where you recruit animals. There were different things we wanted to do, such as make it a co-op game. I think initially it was going to be kind of a 4-player kind of zombie survival game, kind of like State of Decay or something like that, but we ended up unfortunately not being able to put multiplayer in, but it was something we would want to do in the future. But we're also big fans of like Legend of Zelda, and especially like Wind Waker's look, so that's why we went with a cartoony vibe. So that was our main inspiration artistically. So this is the character model that was made. So we made a Moscow kind of requirements. So we kind of tried to break it down. So we kind of had different enemies, and a certain amount of enemies we kind of must put in for the base sort of level, and then if we had time we could add more enemies later. So yeah, we had enemies, inventory, loot to pick up, different areas, kind of prompt system, kind of like I'm pretty sure I implemented it, although I'm not sure if it was in the final build or not, because I think we might have turned it off at one point. I forgot to turn it back on, but I definitely remember creating the prompt system. I see resources, building, all the main stuff to actually make the game work at the most basic level. We definitely set ourselves a challenge. We only had a few months for this, and we all never done a group project before. This was the first ever group project, so collaboration was something we all had to learn while making this game. So I think we did pretty well in the time limit. And then we had shoulds, which I think we did a few of them. We got the weapons and the potions. We got the recruitment system and the enemies. We didn't get the multiplayer, unfortunately. I don't think we had saving, but yeah, we got a few of those done, and I think we got some of the goods in replacing it, so it wasn't too bad. But as you can see, online was definitely a big area we wanted to do. Other than that, it was add story mode, and just make it bigger and better, really. So this was done in Unity, as our main programmer favoured C# language. He was more he didn't like Unreal at the time. At this point, I had only used Unity as well, but my knowledge wasn't as good as his, so that's why I kind of was on the game design side of things and production, as I kind of really enjoyed that. It was only kind of later on in the year and the last couple of years where I really got into programming and started using Unreal and things like that. We used 3ds Max and Photoshop. As a target audience, we wanted it to be obviously aimed. It wasn't like it's even though you're fighting animals, it's not a particularly violent game. It's quite comical in its nature, quite light-hearted. We wanted to aim it for a younger audience, but we wanted to have like I said, dark undertones that adults would understand and find funny, but kids wouldn't understand. So we wanted to kind of hit that sweet spot. And like I said, inspirations are like Legend of Zelda, Dungeon Defender, State of Decay, that sort of kind of survival and tower defense sort of thing with a bit of adventuring. yeah, platforms. I think we wanted, again, start with Steam release, or Epic Games Store was just opening at that point. I think, you know, PCs, because you're making it on PCs, it's a lot easier to kind of get it out there on the PC than consoles to begin with. Um, so that was what we were kind of aiming for. And yeah, we're kind of just trying to keep the specs low so it was easy to run. And then yeah, we've got the whole list of gameplay stuff. So we've got the character and the statistics. Obviously in the game we only have health and mana points, so we don't really have any other stats, but again, if it expanded we potentially could. So yeah, the objective is just survival really, survive as long as you can. With each rotation the game gets harder and harder essentially. So it's like Call of Duty Zombies, you know, you last as long as you can. The resources we kept nice and simple. We had just 3. Again, you know, we'd expand on that if we made the game bigger. But obviously, yeah, like metal's rarer, so you have to hunt a bit more for that. And then we have a few different towers. Got short and long range. And I don't think area of effects got implemented. But yeah, essentially again we wanted to try different things, but we kept it simple. Just we wanted to make sure we had a bit of everything in, just to show what we had learned, kind of, and to really test our skills in different areas rather than finessing on the one point particularly. Like we had these ideas for traps, for example, which are kind of detailed, but we never actually got around to implementing, unfortunately. But that's something we would obviously add in if we had more time. We did get repairing in, so that's something. Yeah, we got the weapons in. We've got sword, dagger, and staff. The staff isn't in the video, but it is in the game. It does work. It kind of just acts like the tower. You just shoot magic balls out. I don't think the shield or bow were implemented, but the other 3 were. And then yeah, both potions were implemented. In terms of enemies, I think these are all implemented, which is why we've got the models for them. And yeah, this is the boss shrimp we had. I think it does actually spawn. I think in the video I said it doesn't. I'm pretty sure it does actually. And that just had more health, so it was pretty good. We managed to set up a system where we could easily adjust in the editor, we could easily adjust the stats of the enemies. When I think, yeah, got James to kind of expose like an enemy sort of class kind of attribute, so we could easily, you know, make instances. I think he had a prefab sort of thing going on. And then yeah, the building slots and inventory, which I think James went into more detail with that since he created it. But essentially just, yeah, kind of making that as like a spawn point. You know, setting an animation and tower to spawn. And yeah, inventory is just kind of some buttons where you can spawn different things, like you can obviously spawn the weapons into your hand. Yeah, this is James's section, so I won't go into too much detail. But he essentially lists all the main kind of variables that we used, kind of how he did the items and then added them to the inventory, you know, kind of different attributes to them. And then yeah, the recruitment for the goody animals. We've got the flow of the game, so daytime, nighttime, what you do. Yeah, feedback loop. Yeah, so I'll just read it quickly. Yeah, I think it's just more about, yeah, kind of different visual and audio effects to help the player. So I think with like the resources we had, like a sparkling effect on them, so they're easy to see for the player. And then you pick them up and it makes like a, you know, ping sound or something, or you know, to show that you picked them up. You know, all these types of things really. Obviously with the nighttime you'd have different audio effects for when like the next wave is approaching. Then yeah, rewards. We didn't have the main reward really is when the animals are killed, they might drop something. So drop a resource or weapon, which is it's quite nice. Yeah, there wasn't a lot of time to put more in, but that's pretty much it. And then we got the feedback here of audio and visual. So obviously visual, we had this bar at this right hand side which showed like the progress of daytime and also the progress of each wave, when a boss was coming, things like that, and different audio for that as well. We didn't have a profile in the end, but again we could have stats potentially put in. Controls, kept it simple. Like I said, WASD movement, spacebar for jump, kind of standard stuff with games on PC. The only unfortunate thing we didn't have is, like I said, we didn't have a kind of a good camera control, which is something we could have implemented a bit better. I'm pretty sure the gamepad works. I can't actually remember, but yeah, I'm pretty sure we did get that sorted. The AI is just essentially follows a path to the crystal, but it also does veer off to attack towers and the player if they're closer range. So I think they always destroy the towers first before going to the crystal, so it kind of buys you time doing the tower thing. Yeah, and then we got the physics, so it's mainly just to do with like colliders and stuff, making sure everything reacts in the right way. Crude map of the island and the different areas. Some of these weren't fully polished or implemented, but I think we got a good few of them. We had, I think, when the crater is where the crystal is, and we had the beach in the cove, and we didn't have a town, but we did have like a shack on, I think, the beach or something like that. But yeah, there are other areas we wanted to put in, I didn't have time for. And then the menus and UI again, just wanted to keep it simple really. We wanted a good logo that stood out. This is, I think this is a fantastic logo that was created by the team. I think it was Dom, Dina, Charlie, with the kind of artists and modelers there, so they did well there. And that's pretty much that. Obviously, I've just briefly gone over the art style and visual effects before. We had the asset lists here, so we made sure to list everything that we created or needed to kind of get into the game. Same with the audio, you had all the different sort of sounds as well for each enemy, so not just like attack, but also like spawning and death and different types of attack, for example. And then we just go over the competitor analysis, so essentially describing each game, its strengths and weaknesses, or even snuck in the Metacritic ratings, just so we could kind of tell, if we're kind of using it for what to do or what not to do, sort of thing. And kind of just talking about why it was worth looking at, really. So, for example, what we can take from Kingdom is that it was cheap, so we want to make sure that our game is in the right price bracket, for example. So we're looking at how to cost our game and things like that. Showing how this particular game works well in the tower defense category. Dungeons Defenders was the main one I took inspiration from, and even though the other guys hadn't heard of it, I was, kept trying to show them this is, felt like the closest thing to what we were trying to do. I think I'll pretty much say that here. So that was that, and State of Decay as well. This is kind of more saying, I'm kind of talking about some of the issues that we want to avoid. And then marketing, we kind of roughly go, right, if this was going to be commercial, then we'd kind of go through how we'd do it. So like how we first announced it, sort of thing. You know, kind of social media presence. You know, a CG trailer, concept art, just kind of hyping it up. You know, kind of teasing it, and kind of going to events to show it off. And then going more into actual gameplay slightly later. Maybe having developer blogs to keep fans up to date, sort of thing. Developer diaries before launching it, essentially. We could have closed testing, that was more for the multiplayer aspect. Single player might not really need to as much, but you know, could put out a demo or something. I've always liked a good demo. Just post merchandising. And then the timeline, so kind of how long each part of development should take. You know, and it depends. We could have decided to put it on early access and just develop for a year and then put it on early access and continue development, or we can go through a whole 2 to 3 years before releasing it straight away, fully done, sort of thing. And then we just go through what we would want to put in the future iterations, legal stuff such as licenses for the different tools we use in, making sure not to copy anyone, making sure every idea we use is viable, essentially, and just protecting players' data and stuff like that. And then concept art, like I said, Dan and Dominic. James also, is the main programmer, did do some early art to help with the conceptualization of it. And then I did some storyboards, which was a bit too hard to read, really. But it's just essentially, the towers and the weapons and the enemies. And that's basically it. So sorry, it was a long video, but it's like I say, it's a 50-page document, a lot to go over, and I thought it's worth kind of exploring the thought process of the project. But thank you for watching.